Okay, guys, in this video, we are going to start talking about method of elimination. And so for this video, I'm not going to actually solve any one of these systems, but what I will do is just show you how you can eliminate one of the variables. So for example, the first example, we're going to try to eliminate x, but we're also going to try to eliminate y, and I will show you both, and it's going to be really your choice on the test how to do it. It's going to give you the same answer ultimately, and maybe easier to do one versus another one. But first, you just have to see how do you do it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rewrite each of the equations so that if there is no number in front of the a variable, I will insert that number. So right now, in front of y, there is no number. In front of x, there is a 5. Okay, so I'll leave that. That's fine. But y has no number in front of it, so you can always insert a 1. So that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so that's what I do. And on the second one, same thing. I'm gonna insert a 1 in front of the x. Okay, so what will happen when I do that? Okay, so my goal is to just teach you how do you, for example, eliminate x. Okay, so what you do, look at the number in front of x. So this one, the first equation has a 5, the second equation has a 1. What I want you to remember that the way you do it, you're gonna need to multiply your equations by some numbers, and then you gotta decide what number to do. Okay, so the second equation, multiply it by the other number. So multiply this by 5. Okay? The first equation, multiply that by the other number, so by 1. And it's not going to be just 1, it's going to be -1. So one of them you multiply by the other number, no change, but the other one you multiply by the opposite of the number. And where you put that minus really doesn't matter. You can put it in here and get rid of it in the other one. Okay, like this one will just be 1. As long as you do one of them the same and the other one is the opposite, you are good. Okay, so I'll do this because this is going to be a little bit easier for me because multiplying by 1 is not going to change an equation. So I will multiply the second one by -5 and the first one by 1. Okay, so when I multiply the first one by 1, that's not going to change. That's going to be the same. Okay, so I'll just rewrite it. Now I have to multiply the second one by -5. So how do I do that? Well, you have to multiply this -5 every term, not just the first one. So what is -5 times 1? Okay, that's -5. You can use a calculator to check that. Okay, then this one is just a subtraction, but you can always insert a plus because adding a negative is the same as subtracting. So now what's going to happen is -5 will be multiplied by -9. That will be a positive 45y equal then -5 times 30, that's -150. So what are we going to achieve by doing that? Well, when you add them up, what will happen is the x is going to cancel out. So you have to have the terms that are identically the same except for the sign is going to be opposite. So I'm not going to finish this. This is not an example to actually solve. I just want to show you what to do to eliminate a variable. Now, let's look at what would I do if I decided to eliminate y. Like, what would I decide? What would I multiply this by? So I'm going to rewrite this again. Okay, and I'm going to insert that a plus, negative, so adding a negative. So what now? You want to get rid of y, right? So let's look at the numbers that are in front of them. So in front of y, there is a 1 in one of them, and there is a -9 in the other one. So I got to think about what do I multiply these equations by? Well, the first one you need to multiply by exact same number as the second one. Okay, so or the opposite of it, doesn't matter, but you have to have one the same and one opposite. So I'll go ahead and multiply this one by -9. And then what do I multiply the second one? So I have to multiply it by the opposite of the other one, right? So maybe -1. Okay, now that's not the ultimate, that's not the best solution because now I have to multiply both by a negative. So how about we multiply the first one by 9? Okay, So we're multiplying by the opposite of this guy, right? Because that guy is -9, so we're multiplying that by 9. Then this one, we're just going to multiply by 1, and that's it. Okay? So what will happen if we did that? Well, you have to distribute that 9 to all the terms, okay? So you get 45x plus 9y equals, I don't know what 9 times 12 is, so whatever that 9 times 12, some number, doesn't matter. For the second one, it's just 1, so it doesn't gonna change. And this is what I get. So what did I achieve? When I add them up at this point, this will become 46x, but then this is going to cancel. So I'm not going to even worry about what's here, but I want to show you that we did eliminate y. Okay, now let's look at the second example. Same thing. First, we're trying to eliminate, let's say, x. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, let me rewrite the second equation so it has a number in the front, and also insert the plus where I see a minus so I don't get confused what to do there. So this would be a plus minus 1 y. So we have a negative y. This is the same as adding -1 y, okay? And that's 18. All right, so if I wanted to eliminate x, I have to multiply one of the equations by the same number as the other equation has, or opposite of it, okay? It's your choice. Okay, so let's say I multiply by the opposite. So this one I would multiply by -3, and that one I will multiply by 2. Okay, so one of them has to be opposite and one of them has to be the same. So this is what I've done. So that would eliminate x. Why? Because when I multiply it like this, like this, like this, what do I get? What's gonna be that I achieve? So I would get -6x, -3, that's gonna give me +9y equals, again, whatever that -3 times 26 is, you can use a calculator, that's not the point. I just want to show you what would happen. This will be +6x minus 2y or plus -2y equals 36. Now, when you add them up, the x terms are gonna cancel. Okay, the last thing I want to discuss is what would happen if I wanted to eliminate y here. Okay, so let's try to figure this out. So I'm going to write them next to each other, one under the other. Okay, so this one I'll write like plus -1y equals 18. And this one I'm also going to write plus -3. So if I'm trying to eliminate y, I've got to look at the numbers in front of y. So this guy has -3, this guy -1. Okay, so I am going to multiply the first one by the opposite of this guy. So opposite of -1 is +1. Okay. And then the second one, I will multiply by the same one that's in the first. So that would be -3. So again, one of them you multiply by the opposite of the other number, and one you multiply by the same. Okay, so what will happen now? All right, so when I start distributing that one, nothing is going to change because this is just going to be exactly the same thing, right? You could put plus -3y equals 26. So that doesn't change. But the -3, you got to multiply through the whole thing. So this will become -9x. -3 times -1 is a +3y equals -3 times 18, probably be -54, something like that. Again, it's not the point. The point is that when you start adding them, the y term will cancel, and that's what I'm trying to achieve.